Hello, ladies. Welcome to our May PhD and Me challenge. Let me make sure everything is working with the audio, and I'm going to give you guys just a moment to get on, and we're going to get started. Okay, perfect. Everything is working. All right, so I'm going to give you guys about 30, 60 seconds to get logged on. So if you're watching the replay, feel free to fast forward just a little bit while I give everyone a moment to get logged on. Thank you so much. And go ahead and say hello so I can make sure that you're hearing me well. And we are going to get started. Just make a note here. I'm so excited for our talk today, guys. Okay. Hello. Okay, perfect. All right, so we are going to go ahead and get started. Got to put my last note. I wanted to make sure that I leave nothing out today. Okay, so I think we're good now. All right, ladies. Welcome to our May PhD and Me challenge. I am Ashley Empowers, the host of this challenge. And every month I simply come in and I teach a lesson to help you increase the value of your greatest asset, which is yourself. So what you can look forward to is having a monthly teaching as well as a monthly assignment to help you get an amplified start to the month. So we are at the very beginning of May, which means that you have a fresh start to really see some of your goals and your vision come to fruition. But what you need is to be a part of a group that serves as accountability, that serves as fuel for you to keep progress on the vision that God has given you. And so at the beginning of the year, many of you guys identified goals and things that you wanted to pursue this year. And guess what? You still have 8 months this year to see the fruit of some of the things that you desire to do. And the reason why we do these monthly teachings is because just like me, maybe you, and just like human nature, sometimes we fall off and we really just need an arm up, a hand to help us get back on track. So that is exactly what these sessions are for. I come with fresh, new, inspiring content. This is 100% free. All I ask that you do is invite one friend to join you. Invite one girlfriend, invite one cousin, invite your sister, and remind them to join you and be a part of the challenge. Because I can tell you from personal experience, when you are the only one growing in your circle, it really does have an effect on your relationships. So you want to encourage other people to grow with you. It really enriches your relationship and the conversations that you will have as well. So this month, we are going to be talking about generational wealth. And really, it's a very different perspective that I'm going to be sharing with you because what I'm specifically talking about is the trap of generational wealth. So if you are on social media, if you listen to podcasts, you have probably heard this topic of generational wealth come up on social media and maybe some of the books that you're reading and interviews that you're listening to. This topic of generational wealth is almost very trendy, and it's a very noble thing to pursue because if you're a minority, you have most likely been a part of a family tree that did not come from wealth. And so what we're seeing nowadays is there are a lot of ambitious, driven people who want to change their legacy for the better. So they feel like they have been called to be set apart, to create generational wealth, to equip the next generation with better than what they had. And that is a very noble calling. But for me, when I sit back and I observe the people who talk about generational wealth and how influential this conversation is, I want to have a conversation with you today to make sure that you don't get in the trap of generational wealth, right? And so I feel like we live in a strive society. And when you are someone who's pursuing generational wealth, you want to change your legacy for the better, it's almost like there's no end to it. What is the mile marker to let you know that you have reached generational wealth? What is the end goal? And the reason why I say that is because no one talks about what the end looks like when it comes to building generational wealth. You can literally be building and building and building and die trying. And so this is the trap that I see people getting in, where they are striving, where they are working themselves into the ground, where their focus is money and building wealth and accumulating things, all for the term generational wealth. And what I have noticed and what I have observed is generational wealth has been taken and twisted into a doctrine of gluttonous prosperity. And so, as women who are a part of this group, I know the ladies that are in this accountability group, they are female leaders, they're entrepreneurs, they're mothers, they're influencers. I want to make sure that you have the proper perspective on generational wealth and how you can pursue it in a healthy way without getting caught in this trap of gluttonous prosperity. Now, what really triggered this conversation and what sparked my interest in me just being very reflective and pondering this topic of being in the trap of generational wealth is because lately I've been researching a lot on simple living. You know, I love to live simply in our home. We do not keep a lot of clutter. I'm constantly going through our homes, our home, our clothes, our belongings, our possessions, and I'm always giving things away because I like to keep a very low inventory in our home. And I'm not the type of person who will ever give you a closet tour because my closet is not, I don't have tons and tons of clothes. I don't have tons of back. Like, I don't have that. And I don't want that because I love to live simply. And the question that you really have to ask yourself is, when is enough enough? When is enough enough? And if you're a woman who desires to build generational wealth, I think first you have to understand that you can be caught in a trap. And two, you need to discern and actually write out, what does the end goal of generational wealth look like for you and your family? Because if you don't make a clear cut end goal, you can constantly be caught in the rat race of striving in the sake of building wealth, which really it's just gluttonous prosperity. And so I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that we do in our household, and really just help you with your plan to create generational wealth and to really just help you to have peace on this journey of changing your legacy for the better. So when I was researching this topic of and really just kind of processing my own thoughts about it, two scriptures came to my mind. And two scriptures that honestly they really or one scripture two scriptures came to my mind. One scripture typically gets misconstrued. And so that scripture says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. I don't know about you. Anytime that I've heard that scripture, I've always thought money. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And so I've even heard pastors preach this scripture as it relates to building wealth and feeling good about building wealth, because you're a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, right? Like, I've always thought in monetary terms until I said, what does an inheritance mean? What does it mean to inherit something? And when I looked at the definition of inherit, the definition says to receive or be left with from a predecessor or a former owner. It has nothing to do with money, right? And so you may be thinking, okay, Ashley, well, if leaving an inheritance doesn't necessarily mean something monetary, what should we be pursuing? And so, in my thinking and in my time studying and researching and evaluating, what I believe the antidote or the opposite of generational wealth and what we all should be pursuing is generational wisdom. Generational wisdom is what we need to be pursuing. Now, before I dive deep onto generational wisdom, I do want to say this. If you are someone who is pursuing generational wealth, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, it's a very noble thing. In fact, it's very beneficial for you to give your children and the next generation a head start in life. And when I mean head start, I mean, giving them a debt-free foundation, helping them with their education, helping them, start retirement accounts, right? All of that is great, but this should not be your number one pursuit. Okay. It should not be your number one pursuit. And honestly, when it comes to that, there's nothing wrong with that. But when it comes to that, one, you want to identify your end goal, right? You want to identify you and your husband, you and your spouse, you yourself. You want to say, what is it that we want to leave? You need to clearly identify what that is. Is it we're going to make sure they're debt free? We're going to make sure that we demonstrate proper financial stewardship to them, which is very valuable. We're going to open them up an investment account, and we're going to have one property that they'll be able to inherit. Like, what specifically does generational wealth look like for you? And again, you're identifying this so you foresee an end goal, so you're not striving and striving and striving and you die trying to reach this milestone that you have not even cemented in the ground what that looks like, what that is for you. And so when I was talking to my husband about this, we were having such a good conversation about this because yes, generational wealth is good, it's noble, set your children up for success. But sometimes when you make it easier for the next generation, you're actually making it harder for them, right? And so we in our household have identified what that looks like for us. What's the end marker? How much are we going to give to them? And beyond that, generational wisdom is what we are striving to pass down. Now, let me say this. When it comes to generational wealth, it's important that you not only demonstrate proper financial stewardship, but you also make sure your kids have the right appetite when it comes to wealth. The worst thing that you can do is be striving to build generational wealth, and you pass all this stuff down to a child who is not equipped to handle the wealth. Generational wealth is poverty without wisdom. I want you to write that down. Generational wealth is poverty without wisdom. You want to make sure they have the proper character. You want to make sure that they have the proper foundation before ever giving someone a large inheritance, right? And something that we say in our household is our children are going to see us modeling and walking out proper financial stewardship, but we will not tell them that they have these accounts. We will not tell them because you don't want them to be thinking, oh, well, at the end of the day, I have this money coming to me. You will never know. You will never know until you get to an age where you have demonstrated financial responsibility. Does that make sense? Okay. So besides that, the point that I really want you to see is that we live in a society that is a strive society. People are serving the God of this world, which is money. And we need money to operate. We need money to live. We need money to do things, and passing down finances and things to your children is noble. But again, the number one thing that you want to pass down is wisdom. The number one thing that you want to be striving for is wisdom. The number one thing that you want to be praying over the next generation is for generational wisdom. Now, I want to break this down to you because this was so good to me. So, again, generational wealth is overemphasized in our culture where generational wisdom is underemphasized. So, the in the Bible, Proverbs chapter 8 and a little bit of 9 and some other parts of um Proverbs really talk about this. And I'm just going to talk about Proverbs 8 specifically today. So, Proverbs 8, it talks about how number one, the book of Proverbs is talking about wisdom. So many parts in this book is talking about wisdom. And what I find interesting is that when wisdom is talking through these proverbs, it's from the place of wisdom is crying out. Like wisdom is crying out while you're busy striving, wisdom is trying to get your attention, right? So you're busy striving for generational wealth where wisdom is on the corner saying, "Hey, I'm over here. This is what you truly need." And so in Proverbs 8, let me give you a couple examples. Um, so it says, so wisdom is saying, "I call to you, all of you. I raise my voice to all people." Proverbs 8:10 says, "Choose my instruction rather than silver and knowledge, rather than pure gold. For wisdom is far more valuable than rubies. Nothing you desire can compare to it." Right? It also says, "Because of me, kings reign." Right? "Those who search will surely find me. I have riches and honor. Those who search for me will surely find me. I have riches and honor." So again, while you're striving for generational wealth, wisdom is right here on the corner saying, "Hey, I have generational wealth. It's with me. It's with wisdom." Um, Verse 21 says, "Those who love me, wisdom, inherit wealth. Those who love me inherit wealth. I will fill their treasuries." And so to me, this is just confirmation that we're being sold a lie. You think generational wealth is something that you have to strive and work for, where Proverbs shows you that you need to be seeking wisdom, praying for wisdom, asking the Lord that every legacy and generation coming after you is equipped with wisdom because they will be a wealthy people. So, wealth without poverty, or excuse me, wealth without wisdom is poverty. Wealth without wisdom is poverty. You want to make sure that you're demonstrating proper financial stewardship. You want to make sure that you're discerning when it comes to the media that you're consuming, because you can watch a good clip of someone on Instagram talking about how they're building their real estate agency and they're taking their nieces and nephews to steak and lobster dinners because they want to show them what generational wealth looks like. And then that will trigger something in you. Well, I need to work harder. I need to strive more. I want to give that to my children. Lobster and steak dinner, that's all fine and dandy. But what you want them to have is wisdom. Because if they have wisdom, not only are they going to be able to take the inheritance that you give them and steward it properly, they're going to be able to build wealth on their own. And not only that, they're not going to believe a lie that striving for wealth is the end goal. It's wisdom. And when you set your end goal and say, "Hey, this is what we're going to give to the next generation," it allows you to have peace and not feel like you need to be in the rat race. Okay. All right. So I'm trying to see if there's anything else I wanted to share with you. Um, yes. Okay. So I said here again, simple living is, it's going to give you so much peace. And not only that, when you really understand that the key is simply living below your means. You'll never be in debt. As a woman who is a high earning housewife or a debt free family, the number one thing that you can do when it comes to finances is live below your means, because with that surplus, you can invest in the next generation. With that surplus, you can invest in different things. But if you're constantly caught in the rat race of striving, you're not going to be able to be content with saying enough is enough. So, I want to give you your assignment for this month. And typically, I give you a book to read, but this month I'm going to do something a little bit different. So, your assignment for this month is to not only read, but to study Proverbs chapter 8. I want you to read it and study it so you can really get ingrained in your spirit the treasure of pursuing wisdom, the treasure of receiving wisdom and having that be one of the greatest prayer points on your prayer list is wisdom, and understanding you're not going to have to strive for wealth if you accept wisdom. Like when it says wisdom is crying out to people, what did it, hold on. And in chapter 9, it talks about it too. But she said, just to like, I just love it. So chapter 9, she's saying, wisdom has built her house. She has prepared a great banquet. She has sent her servants to invite everyone. She calls out from the heights overlooking the city. Come with me. Come eat my food. Drink my wine. Right? Like the Lord wants us to have wisdom. Like I feel like that is the secret to success that's found in scripture. It's wisdom that you need to carry out your assignment, to build wealth for the next generation. It's wisdom. So your assignment is to read and study Proverbs chapter 8. And the last thing that I want you to do, if you are married, is to create your plan of what generational wealth looks like for your family and how you are going to contribute to it. You are not accountable for every single human that comes after you. Take that pressure off of yourself. What is it that you and your spouse want to provide to the next generation to give them a head start? Create that plan this month. That is your assignment for this month. So, ladies, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Wisdom over everything. Do not get caught in the trap of generational wealth. Yes, it's a noble thing. Yes, it's a noble pursuit. And yes, I think you should be debt free and set your children up for success. But most importantly, you want to demonstrate more is caught than taught. And you also want to make sure that you're not wearing yourself out trying to reach a goal that you haven't even clearly identified. So thank you guys for tuning in, and marinate on this for a little bit. Come back to the group, share with us some of your own revelation. And if you've enjoyed this, what I would love for you to do, if you could, just screenshot this, tag me on Instagram so I can share it and I can thank you for watching. But if you got anything from this, tag me in your Instagram stories. Next month challenge, ladies, let me go ahead and give you the date for that. It will be June 6th. It's the first Monday of every month at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. So it will be June 6th at 11 a.m. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye for now.